Winter meetings, they're in the books. And what we know, well, a relatively quiet winter meetings for the Cubs, although some big news around baseball, including Kyle Schwarber signing with the Phillies. Well, a lot of smoke coming out of the where is Kyle Tucker going sweepstakes. We'll talk about that. The Cubs, looks like, and the more that we listen, that they're serious about adding an ace to the rotation. But don't forget about the bullpen. And that's something that we've talked about a lot on here, but even more proof that the Cubs are looking for back-end bullpen support. And the Rule 5 draft happened, and the Cubs did not lose anyone, which was kind of surprising. But that's good news and bad, and I'm going to talk about that. They did pick up 3 guys in that Rule 5 draft, and we'll get into that in the minor league phase. No one in the major league phase. All that right here on the Cubs Baseball channel. Like, subscribe, thumbs up, hit the bell, do all those things that we ask you to do. And let's get this show started. Great to see you guys today. Go Cubs! Thanks, everybody. Mick Gillespie, Cubs Baseball channel. And here we are talking about the Cubs again, as we always do, with now winter meetings in the rear view mirror. And what the Cubs, did you expect something big to happen? Well, it didn't. At least not in the, hey, the Cubs are doing this category. Now, one thing that did happen is that Kyle Schwarber signed with the Phillies. So that took him off of the table. Another thing that happened is that Pete Alonso, the polar bear, went to Baltimore. And the reason I say that is leading you to this Kyle Tucker sweepstakes. Baltimore apparently kicked the tires on Tucker before they signed Alonso. I can't imagine a small market team like them being able to go out and nab 2 of the most expensive, high-priced free agents out there. Now, Tucker is at the top of the pyramid, and he's projected now, according to The Athletic, some of their insiders, to get about $427 million, which would be amazing. That's a lot of money. Now, it's not the biggest contract ever, but it's amongst one of the biggest ever, and if he signed with the Cubs for that, it'd be the biggest contract they've ever given out. Now, the list of teams that are interested in Tucker, I'm sure a mile long, but that actually have the ability to sign him include really a handful of teams, one of them being the Toronto Blue Jays. They would love to have whatever it takes to get one more run in the 7th game of the World Series. Then they'd be World Series champs right now. So they apparently have some cash. And then the New York Yankees obviously haven't signed Cody Bellinger. That spot is opened. And look, Tucker would be a great fit in New York in that big baseball market, maybe the biggest baseball market. Or is LA the biggest baseball market now? The Dodgers. They have endless means. And we talked about this on other shows, and I'll reiterate it right now, that the Ohtani contract gives them the ability, because it's so backloaded, to just continue to go out and sign the best of the best. And we saw that with Edwin Diaz, the best closer out there available. Well, now the Athletic and other sources are saying that, don't be surprised, Ken Rosenthal saying that the Dodgers are seemingly in this Tucker mix. Maybe not to the tune of 6 or 7 years, but that they are interested in signing Tucker. Would they be able to do that? Now, could Alex Bregman end up signing with the Dodgers? Are the Dodgers off the table for Tucker? And if that were the case, how far does that drop his value? Right? So, again, this offseason, one of the other most coveted players is Alex Bregman. And the Tigers and the Red Sox and the Cubs are all interested in Bregman. And even Craig Counsell was asked about Bregman in a MLB Network spot. Hey, what do you think? He's like, he's a great player. And he just talked about what he would mean. Now, the Cubs won't necessarily get rid of Matt Shaw, who was their third baseman last year, but I'm sure they could figure out a way to make both of them work. And if you're the manager, that's probably what you're thinking. Hey, I'd love to do that. So it's just so interesting to me. So if the Dodgers aren't willing to go 6 or 7 years for Tucker, does that remove them from the list of teams that would be interested? And you really don't hear the Cubs coming up a whole lot in this Tucker sweepstakes. Doesn't mean they're out, but it does mean that they're waiting to see if something happens, and maybe he'll do a lot for a 1-year deal or a 2-year deal or something where he has an opt-out, a mutual opt-out. I've said that before too. I don't think they're out of it until he signs, but I know that they're not going to spend an exorbitant amount of money for him. Now, one thing that you keep hearing, and Craig Counsell talked about it in this same interview, was, and it kind of was one of those comments that you have to hear it a couple of times, but they asked him about last year and the bullpen, and he says, what we thought about the bullpen going into the season, we were wrong. We were pretty wrong on it. We ended up pitching pretty well, but at the start of the season, it wasn't the guys we expected to do it. And that is where the Cubs are attacking right now. And if you think about it, and you put, did you expect Daniel Palencia to be your closer? You went and made the trade to get a closer. You went and made the trade with Cleveland for Morgan. You expected him to be somebody, or did we sign him as a free agent? I don't know, but he gets hurt. Keller ended up being a big part. We didn't even know if he was going to make the team at the beginning of the season. It's weird how that happened. So if the guys that we thought were going to be there ended up mixing with the guys who ended up being there, the Cubs could have had a fantastic bullpen, but that's not what happened. So it's all, just kind of interesting how he said that. And it also leads to what I think the Cubs are looking at right now in free agency. Now, before I say that, I want you guys to, again, be part of Mick Nation, AveD, our Web3 home. Yeah, there's the QR code right there. And it's free. We give away swag. We give away cash prizes. You get to pick games. Obviously it's not baseball season right now, but we do football, and maybe we'll put on some free agent stuff, whatever. It's where we're going to eventually have our store. And we have just had so much fun there building our base in our Web3 spot. So we appreciate it. And for those of you that have been there before, thank you. Now, this is where this is all leading me, is what are the Cubs thinking about in free agency? They're serious about Bregman. And from all intents and purposes, everybody seems to think that they're also very serious about adding another starting pitcher. And not just a starting pitcher, but like a front line starting pitcher, like someone that's going to be able to come in and make an immediate impact, right? Is that Zach Gallen, who was rumored to have signed already? Is that Imai, who we talked about yesterday on the video? The Cubs are with a lot of teams wanting Imai, and Baltimore's names being mentioned there. Anybody that needs pitching, right? Kind of looking at that going, but the other thing too, and we've kind of talked about this, it could be one of those situations where the Cubs make a trade for a starting pitcher. And with Mackenzie Gore's name popping up there, the Cubs were rumored to have had discussions last year with the Nationals. He'd be a good one. The two pitchers on the Marlins, and Alcantara and Cabrera, both of those guys you feel good about. Sandy Alcantara was a Cy Young Award winner, right? And came on at the end of the year too, by the way, which we weren't really sure because he was so bad up until the trade deadline. So would you go and make a move there? Maybe the Marlins get that payroll off the books. They get a lot of prospects back. I'm sure Jackson Wiggins would go in any of those trades. And then maybe you use your free agent money on a Bregman and then some back-end bullpen help. But listening to Counsell talk about the bullpen made me think that, okay, Hoyer's mentioned pitching, and now Counsell's mentioned pitching. Guess what? The Cubs are serious about pitching. They didn't sign Kyle Schwarber. It doesn't seem like they're going to sign Kyle Tucker unless something drastically changes. And it's Alex Bregman and pitching. So however they get to that point is what we're watching for this offseason. Now, the last thing is the Rule 5 draft. So what was it, about a week ago, we talked about the players that the Cubs protected, that they put on their 40-man roster to keep them from being taken by other teams. And I remember one of those guys was James Triantos. Somebody might have taken him. Rule 5 draft happened. The Cubs didn't lose anyone. What tells you that the good thing is that they didn't lose anyone. I mean, sometimes you lose your best minor league players to the Rule 5 draft, and that means another team just takes them. The good thing is that we didn't lose anybody. The bad thing is that the rest of baseball didn't look at the players that were available and decide they were worth taking. So it's a two-edged sword, right? You don't want to lose players, but at the same time, you want to have enough talent where it kind of gives you an idea of where your organization is when, you got all those rounds and none of your players are taken. Now, part of that could be you put your best guys on the 40-man. Maybe you traded some of them, maybe, whatever. But, no one took a chance on some of these guys. And I think that's a good thing for the Cubs. When you look at it and you go, okay, we didn't have our minor league system gutted because of the Rule 5 draft. Now, the big league phase of the Rule 5 draft, as you guys know, is if you take a guy from another team in the big league phase, they have to stay on your 40-man roster. And not a lot of teams do that. And then if you take them off, then that player has to go back to that team. As far as the minor league phase of the Rule 5 draft, the Cubs were active. They took right-hander Adam Stone in the AAA phase. He was a big, tall, hard thrower from the Yankees. They took Zane Mills, right-handed pitcher from our friends in St. Louis, little Cardinals accent. Did you know that Jody Davis was taken by the Cubs from the Cardinals in the Rule 5 draft? And then Devin Ortiz, who is a third baseman in the Padres in the AAA Phase 3, and that was it. So the Cubs, they ended up taking 3 players in the Rule 5 draft, and we'll see where those guys end up. But interestingly enough, a net gain of 3 in that aspect of things. Congratulations to Owen Caissie, who is going to play for Team Canada in the World Baseball Classic. Not a shocker here. It's one of the best Canadian prospects ever to play baseball. And I think when it's all said and done, we'll look back and go, he's going to have I think he'll have some big hits in that World Baseball Classic. I bet you that a lot of people that haven't heard of him will when it's all said and done, because he is a really good player and he's a difference maker. Again, guys, thank you for being here. We're trying to get those subscription numbers up. Please help us. I say every day, like and subscribe, but I mean that. Subscribe, be part of the channel, comment, share with your Cubs friends, be a part of the community, because we love having you here. And I appreciate all of you guys that have helped build this channel. I mean, views consistently good, and I love you for it. We're doing a lot more stuff with the short content, thanks to Connor. Sometimes he'll pop on here and do some shows, and we just got to keep building this thing. I'm trying to get to 10,000 subscribers. It'd be great. It's hard to do, but we're on the way to doing it. So thank you guys for being a part of this, and we will talk to you guys tomorrow. Go Cubs.